right, guys, welcome back. It is semi-final time in the NRL. Holy dooly. Not just the NRL, also the NRLW as well. So a huge weekend of action. Didn't do the debrief this week. We all saw what happened last week. The Knights and the Roosters are out. I'll touch on that for a little bit. We'll go into the games, the NRL semi-finals to make the grand final this year. We will also have a quick look at the NRLW semi-finals and see who's going to make the grand final there. We'll do a little bet of the week and some tips as well. And then we'll wrap it all up into a neat little bow. Let's get straight into it and let's just quickly talk about the teams that got knocked out last weekend in the NRL, which was the Knights and the Roosters. I think the Roosters can be very, very happy that they actually got that far. Like they were literally just a kick away from you know making the semi-finals, which is absolutely huge considering where they came from. I think they started the season such on the back foot and their comeback, and to make it that far, I think it kind of sort of says where their roster is and where they should be finishing. Um, but you know, like massive, massive effort from the Roosters. And if I'm a Roosters fan, from what could have been a disaster of a season, I think you sort of can go away feeling a little bit satisfied with that. I mean, making the second week of the finals absolutely huge. They could have been fighting down the bottom, for the spoon. Realistically, the way their season started. Anyway, on to the Knights. Look, yeah, it was absolutely glorious scenes for Knights fans. Something that they've really, really needed for a while. You sort of that run of victories, the 10 in a row, like obviously, big finals victories at the end. I sort of went back and looked across their run, and the only sort of big team they sort of fought was sort of the South on their way down. And they beat Melbourne in what was it? Round 21, they beat Melbourne. Melbourne, weren't exactly at full strength, and they also had to play a sin bin. So that was sort of the decent victory. And the rest, they're beating Bulldogs, they're beating Tigers, they're beating Titans. So maybe it was a little bit of a false dawn of sort of, had a little bit of an easier run for the Knights coming into the back of the season. But take nothing away. Like their team absolutely just gelled together, and it was really, really fantastic, especially if you're a Knights fan. But yeah, I think they're going to come back bigger and stronger for next season. It'll be interesting what they're going to do with their halves. Obviously, Hastings and Gamble are still there, and Cogger's moving across. And Cogger could be a premiership winner coming across from the Panthers. So yeah, big things for Newcastle next season, and also I think the Roosters bounce back bigger and better next year. Anyway, enough said about that. Let's move on to the teams for this round of the semi-finals. How far we've come. What a season. All right, first game. It's a huge one. Um, this was the grand final, what was it? A couple of years ago. Panthers versus the Storm. Always a good, like a awesome game. I think the Storm and the Panthers are very much alike in the way that they defend. They have really, really good structures, and it's they move in very precise ways. Like this is probably why you can't exactly put a line through the Storm for this game. But looking at the teams, you know, you think the Panthers are just going a lot better now. They did play each other earlier in the year, and obviously the Panthers won that. I just think we could talk about some matchups here. Like I think if you look at the bench, it's fairly evenly matched. I mean, you've got Nelson on the bench there, so that probably tips it in Melbourne's favour. The front row, you know, Moses and James Fisher Harris, obviously playing a lot better than Tui and Christian Welsh. The back row, Panthers have the wood. The halves, it's on their both on their best day. I think if you add in both halves of Melbourne up against both halves for Penrith, it's pretty evenly matched. I would even tip it towards the Panthers. I think the back line really sums it up here, and I think this sort of outshone. What this is sort of what shone through last week, and sort of seeing what teams come through. The back five, it's definitely tipped in the Panthers' favour. I think Isaac Tungo coming back in. Um, I think he's going to have a field day. Teaming back up with Taruva. I think Justin Olam and Remus Smith are going to have a hard time. And then who else is going down that side? So obviously Scott Sorensen. I think we're going to see a few tries on that side. Look, never say never. I think that I think the Storm do have a game plan and how they can beat the Panthers here. So if I'm the coach, definitely, nothing on good old Craig Bellamy there, but I would sort of look at players like your Munster, your Harry Grant, your Christian Welsh, and sort of well, I would talk to them about sort of what they did in Origin and how they sort of because if you looked at the Origin, especially the first couple, it was just riddled with Penrith players, and Queensland found a way to unlock that. I think you need basically Harry Grant needs to get his forwards going to the right places on the field, and Cameron Munster and Jerome Hughes need to execute it. They've just been very clunky, and it just seems like they need to step up away. If they can unlock it and did what they did to Queensland did to New South Wales in the Origin, then I think the Storm can win. But I think that they're just too far. It's too far a jump. Like it honestly is. Like that's the way the Storm will beat the Panthers. But I can't see them. That I don't even think Panthers are in top gear yet. I still think they're running in second gear. Like your extended reserves bench. Zach Hosking has been one of the Panthers' best players this year, and he's on the extended reserves. Tyrone Peachy's come in and done absolutely fantastic extended reserves. Eisenhuth, you think he would be a starting player off the bench? Sorry, he's played in the last couple of grand finals. Yeah, Panthers just absolutely stacked. Like I can't see them getting beaten. I want the two outsiders to win this weekend, but I just like it's going to take the greatest Melbourne Storm victory of all time to beat the Panthers there. I'm gonna stick with the Panthers. I can't. I think the Storm are just not 100% this year. Let's move on now. Let's move on. Broncos Warriors Saturday night. What a fantastic game this is going to be. Oh, just, Broncos 2 years ago with the spoon. Warriors have just, paddling for the last couple of years during COVID, being away from home, and just what an absolute run the Warriors have gone on. There's so many good matchups. I think, like, looking at the back five, we spoke about the back five in the Panthers Melbourne game. It's pretty evenly matched. I think especially you look at the centers, Staggs and Farmworth up against Berry and Pompey. Like you would literally take Staggs and Farmworth every day of the week in any other season, but I think these two young guys for the Warriors have really stood up. DWZ, try scoring machine, Selwyn Cobbo, Marcelo Montoya, Reese Walsh, and Chance Nickel Clockstad. Wow, that's a great matchup. The halves, Sean Johnson, Adam Reynolds. That is going to be just a beautiful shootout to watch. Like, just the two best halves, I think, in the game just with just obviously Cleary's amazing. He's fantastic. He's still only 25. I just think the maturity and just the way that these guys can just sort of slow the game down and sort of pick and choose where they're kicking, where their passing is. I think Reynolds and Johnson are the best. The forward battle is just going to be unbelievable. The hookers, Egan up against Billy Walters, like just across the park. I would almost, oh, like just I really the only thing I think that the Warriors are a little bit in front of is probably the second row, but I think the Broncos have the wood on them in every other place. Like maybe I love Sean Johnson. I would take him over Adam Reynolds if I had to pick a side. The Warriors, I think their bench looks a lot better. Joshy Curran did some absolute effort plays. Now look, last week, sorry, Joshy Curran was absolutely fantastic. Now I want the Warriors to win. I think this is where it ends, and I'm sorry to say, Warriors fans, but you know, the Warriors have come a long, long way, and this has been so good for the NRL. But let's look back at the last time the teams met. They met in New Zealand. It was during Origin. Broncos were out Origin players, and they still beat the Warriors at pretty much full strength. Um, yeah, I you've got Broncos, Suncorp, like just Reece Walsh, Paddy Carrigan, Payne Haas, Adam Reynolds. Like you just, I want the Warriors to win, but I think the Broncos have this. I think there's so many fairy tales you see in world sport, and like it'd be so good if we just saw if we saw the you know big Warriors and Storm upset and we had an outsiders grand final. But I think this is where you know the class shines up here, and I think the Broncos do make the final. As I said, I want the Warriors to win, and I'll probably have a little cheeky little multi on them to win. But yeah, I think it's the Broncos here. So yeah, it's going to be a Panthers and Broncos grand final. A little cheeky one on the Clive Churchill medal. If you just want to quickly go to the markets there, I would get you Clive Churchill if you're going to have a bet on the Clive Churchill for the grand final. I already think it's going to be Broncos and Panthers. The prices are a little bit inflated. You're still getting about 425 for Nathan Cleary. Can the Broncos upset the Panthers? Maybe. I just a little sneaky one. I'd be taking Paddy Carrigan for the Clive Churchill. All the pundits absolutely love him. Even if the Broncos lose, I reckon they give it to him because he'll just be running and tackling and he's paying $18. A little cheeky look at that. I'm going to be chucking something on that before the games this weekend. All right, let's head over to the NRLW now. Straight into semi-finals, NRLW. Um, where do we go? All right, first up. So the format is first versus fourth, second versus third, winner into the grand final. So Knights, minor premiers, finished on top. Just an absolutely stacked team. So many representative players in there, up against the Broncos, who are, probably the most winning record in NRLW history for premierships. Like both teams, absolutely stacked. I haven't exactly seen a lot of both of these teams play. Just this year, but players like Hannah Southwell, or even an assisted Jesse at halfback there, Tamika Upton, um, other big players, Ali Brigginshaw, just wow, absolute talent for the Broncos. Um, I just I feel like the Knights are a lot more stacked. There's some really good players in the Broncos, but I just think the Finnish minor premiers, the Knights get that done. I think the exciting game and the toss up is the second game, which is Roosters up against the Titans. Now, the Titans have just played well above their skin this year. The Roosters have an absolute stack team, and that one of their biggest stars, Jess Surges, is probably not even going to play. But wow, there is just so many. Millie Boyle, Keely Davis, Isabel Kelly, Corbin Baxter, like Taron Aiken. You've got up against players in the Titans, Jamie Chapman, Shannon Maddow, Jessica Ellison, Georgia Hale. Oh, so good. Riley Jorgensen coming off the bench for the Titans. This is going to be an absolutely fantastic game. It's coming through on 4:15 on Sunday. If you get a chance, I reckon this is one of the games to watch this weekend. Like my heart says the Titans. I absolutely love Georgia Hale, Jamie Chapman. I love a lot of these Titans players, but I think the Roosters get it done, and I think it's going to be 1 and 2 in the grand final, just like the NRLW. The first and second team should go through to the grand final. Wow, what an absolute weekend of footy. How exciting. Can't believe we're this close to the grand final. Now, let's do a little recap of who I'm taking. NRL, I've got the Panthers over the Storm, and I've got the Broncos over the Warriors. NRLW, I'm taking the Knights to win over the Broncos, and I'm taking the Roosters over the Titans. Yeah, and two are just massive grand finals next week. Now, time for your favorite bit of the week. It's time for punt of the week. Yes, here we go. Now, anything can happen. It's semi-finals football, but I just thought I'd find one, and I've gone a little bit safe. We'll try to make it a little bit juicy with some anytime try scorers here. So we've got a same game multi on the first game of the semi-finals in the NRL. So we're going to go a couple of anytime try scorers. We've got Isaac Tungor and Scott Sorensen. I think they're going to have a field day down on the left-hand side of the defense of Justin Olam and Bremer Smith, sorry. I just I think they're going to do. There's going to be some tries scored down that side, and also Will Warbrick keeps scoring for Melbourne. I think he's going to get a try. I think they're going to be throwing some Hail Mary bombs out to him, and I think he's going to get another one. So they're my three anytime try scorers. Now we're also going to add in Nathan Cleary to score 8 or more points, and we're also going to take Panthers minus 10.5. So I think the Panthers are going to win by at least two converted tries. So all that together is going to get you about 37.75. That is absolutely juicy. Put a few quid on that, and you're going to be laughing this weekend. Um, wow. Are you excited as I am? I hope so. What a round of footy. Actually think I might even chuck a little double up on the Storm and the Warriors to win as well. Just a waste of money. Who cares? Anyway, if you've made it this far, absolute legend of legends. It is semi-final time, and I'm excited. So you've made it to the end. If you haven't already and you're just watching this, follow us on TikTok, follow us on Instagram, follow us somewhere. So like, subscribe to this video. Thanks for watching. Say less. Peace out.